All right, let's dive into one of the oldest and frankly most influential stories ever told, Homer's Iliad. Now yes, it's a story about war, but at its absolute core, it's about something way more primal, something that still drives us today, pure, world-shattering rage.
Think about that. That's the very first word of the entire epic poem in the original Greek, meaning rage. Homer doesn't mess around. He tells us right from the jump that this whole massive conflict, the fate of armies, of cities, of heroes, it all comes down to the fury of just one guy, Achilles.
So, that's the big question, right? Achilles is the greatest warrior alive, basically a superhero. What on earth could push a man like that to not only abandon his friends on the battlefield, but to actually pray for them to be slaughtered? The answer? Well, it's not some noble cause or a command from the gods. It's an insult, a deep, personal, and very public humiliation.
Yeah, the whole thing explodes not over strategy or land, but over a war prize, specifically a captured woman named Briseis, who is given to Achilles as a reward. But when the head commander, Agamemnon, has to give up his prize, he decides he's just going to take a replacement.
And this is where it all goes wrong. See, when Agamemnon takes Briseis, he's doing more than just taking a person. In this heroic world, a warrior's honor, his entire public value, is measured by the prizes he gets. Briseis is the physical proof that Achilles is the best. So by taking her, Agamemnon is basically shouting to the whole army, Achilles is worthless. For a man who chose a short, glorious life over a long, boring one, this is the ultimate insult. It basically erases who he is.
So what does Achilles do? His reaction is just devastating. He completely withdraws from the war. And then he asks his mom, who happens to be a goddess, to go to Zeus himself and get the Trojans to start wiping out his own army. Why? To prove a point. I mean, think about the ego here. He's willing to let his friends die by the thousands just to force Agamemnon and everyone else to admit how much they need him. His pride is literally more important than their lives.
But here's the thing you have to remember about the Iliad. The humans are almost never acting alone. There's a much bigger game being played, and the players are the gods up on Mount Olympus, looking down on the battlefield like it's their own personal reality TV show.
And we're not talking about some subtle, mysterious force of fate here. No, we're talking about gods literally showing up on the battlefield to physically stop a sword, to whisper an idea into a hero's ear, or to just grab their favorite warrior and spirit them away in a cloud of mist. And why are they doing this? Oh, for the most ridiculous, petty reasons, like they're still mad about some divine beauty contest that happened ages ago, or maybe they're just plain bored.
So this creates this really cool tension throughout the whole poem, this question of free will. When Achilles is about to draw his sword and kill Agamemnon, is it his own self-control that stops him? Or is it the goddess Athena literally grabbing him by the hair? When a truce is about to end the war, is it human greed that breaks it, or is it Athena's meddling? The poem kind of suggests it's both, that the gods just give a little nudge to what we mortals already want to do.
So, with Achilles sulking in his tent, the Trojans start gaining the upper hand, and they're led by their own incredible champion, the great Hector. And this sets the stage for the main event, the central duel of the entire epic. And believe me, it's a clash that's about way more than just two guys fighting. So, first up, let's talk about Hector. He's the commander of the Trojan army, their best fighter, hands down. But unlike Achilles, he's so much more than just a warrior.
What's so powerful about Hector is just how human he is. War is not his natural element. He's not a born killer. We actually see him with his wife, Andromache, and his baby son. He fights out of this painful sense of duty to protect his family, his people, his city, even though he's pretty sure they're all doomed anyway. He represents everything civilized: community, family, society.
And in the other corner, we have the man Hector is fated to meet. And Achilles. Well, Achilles is not a protector. He's a destroyer. He is a force of nature. For Achilles, war is everything. It's his entire reason for being. He doesn't have a city to defend out there on the plains of Troy. He doesn't have a wife or a child waiting for him. His whole identity is just about being the best, about his personal glory. He's an apex predator, an embodiment of pure, destructive violence. And the scary part is, he is unbelievably good at it. So,
You can see when these two finally clash on the battlefield, it is so much more than just a fight. It's the defender of civilization versus the lone destructive force. It's community versus the individual. And what's truly tragic is that both men walk into that fight knowing their fate is sealed. Hector knows Troy is going to fall, and Achilles knows that his own death will come very, very soon after he kills Hector.
Now, a lot of people think of the Iliad as this glorious story of heroes. And sure, it is. But Homer never lets you forget the true cost of war. He is absolutely unflinching when it comes to showing you the sheer horror and waste of it all. You know, Homer doesn't just say, "and then the soldier died." Oh no, he gives you the gruesome anatomical play-by-play of exactly how a spear point rips through a man's body. He doesn't shy away from the pain, the ugliness, the indignity of a violent death. There's no glamour here, just the cold, hard reality of killing. But then, right in the middle of all that carnage, Homer does something absolutely brilliant. He uses these beautiful comparisons, these similes, that contrast the horror of battle with scenes of everyday peaceful life. Armies clashing are like farmers harvesting wheat. Men fighting over a dead body are like flies swarming milk pails in a barn. And these images are so powerful because they're a constant, heartbreaking reminder of the ordinary peaceful world that war completely obliterates.
And this whole idea, this contrast, it all comes together in one of the most famous parts of the poem, the shield of Achilles. When the god Hephaestus makes him a new shield, you'd expect it to have scenes of glorious battle on it, right? Nope. Almost the entire shield is covered with images of a peaceful civilization, people getting married, farmers working their fields, kids dancing. It's the perfect symbol of everything that war destroys, forged onto the very tool of war itself.
So, you gotta wonder, how did this incredible, ancient story even survive to reach us today? Well, how it was created is a fascinating story in itself, and it helps explain why it's had such a huge impact on our world ever since.
For the longest time, there was this huge debate called the Homeric question. Like, was Homer a real person, or was this poem just stitched together by a bunch of different people? The big breakthrough came in the 1900s. A scholar named Milman Parry noticed all these repetitive phrases, like swift-footed Achilles. He realized they weren't mistakes, they were tools. They were formulas that allowed generations of oral poets or bards to basically improvise and retell this enormous story live, passing it down for centuries before anyone ever wrote it down.
And that's why the Iliad isn't just a story. It's kind of like the story. It's foundational. When Hector dies, Troy is doomed. And the fall of that city, the burning buildings, the dead king, the enslaved people, it became the blueprint, the timeless pattern for the fall of a civilization. An image that's been burned into the Western mind ever since. And that brings us to the final chilling question the Iliad leaves us with. Hector, the man of civilization, is killed by Achilles, the man of pure force. Troy, the sophisticated, wealthy city, is wiped off the map. The poem forces us to look in the mirror and ask a hard question. Can civilization, with all its art and laws and kindness, really stand up against raw, violent power? It's a question that's just as terrifyingly relevant now as it was 3,000 years ago. The Iliad offers no easy answers, and that's exactly why we're still talking about it.